inside the off stump. Oh, he's caught it! I don't believe it! Tom Kohler-Cadmore has caught the most magnificent catch. That short third man is the end of Daniel Sams, and Somerset have won the Vitality Blast 2023. They've bowled Essex out for 131.
Hello there, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening I've got Steve Tancock, Dan Kingdom, President of Somerset CCC, Peter Wanless, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, who has shouted that voice hoarse on Saturday night, Anthony Gibson. Dan, have you calmed down, because you were a bloody nervous wretch sat next to me on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, weirdly, I think I was more nervous during the semi-final. I don't know.
I know you were.
Okay,
just to explain, dear listener, if you've heard of restless leg syndrome, Dan's got restless everything syndrome when it's getting a bit tense. So, but with due deservance, if that's even a word, because boy, we did not do it the easy way, did we?
No, I mean both games were very similar, really, weren't they? We obviously got what was probably under par, but I think our bowlers made it look par. I think. Thank God for Sean Dixon in both the matches, really. Just to explain,
if I just interrupt, just to explain, listeners, Somerset won the fucking Vitality Blast on Saturday. Get in there! Come on!
It was. I think one of the things that's not been mentioned too much, I think, is that while Banton, TKC and Smith didn't really fire, they did score more than the other team in the power play in both games. I think even though they only scored no more than 20 or so, Banton scored like 20 odd, didn't they? I think the fact that both power plays got to sort of 46 or so, didn't they? That was a big factor. And then the fact that we bowled really well first up and both times and got several wickets in the power play. So, yeah, both matches were just unbelievable. They were just weren't they? Henry and Overton were absolutely incredible in the power play again. Green and Gregory stepped up again. Gregory's been brilliant this season with the ball, so much improved on the last few years. Ish Sodhi's been, one of the best signings we've made in recent years. 5 games, basically flawless. I think every time he comes into bowl, I'm thinking, good. It should be 4 solid overs, and he always delivers. So, yeah, it was just an absolutely unbelievable day. Both games, obviously, we went through the ringer because that's the way Somerset do it. I'm just so relieved that after 7 finals days of failure, we finally got over the line, and it's just all that relief. The pain is now so much less of all the previous finals days because we finally won one. And deservedly so, with one of the greatest, possibly the greatest T20 campaign of all time. No one has ever won 15 games in a tournament. It's absolutely unbelievable in so many ways.
Yeah, just absolutely incredible. Like you say, just a day where we got put through the ringer. The weather unbelievably held off. We lost about, I think, 11, 12 overs of rain to the rain, something like that. Gibbo, you were in a proper commentary box today. No danger of the bloody media centre at Edgbaston blowing over. What did you make of it from your lofty heights?
Well, you're a bit cut off in the media.
Oh my
centre.
God! No pleasing some people, is there?
Well, I'd sooner be out in amongst the crowd where you can actually sense the atmosphere, because you couldn't really hear where the cheering was coming from, and
Oh, I tell you where it was: Block 6, 7, and 8 of the Raglan stand, Gibbo. That's where the Somerset contingent were.
But you were a long way away, and I couldn't see where the Somerset contingent were. But yeah, it was great, and I thought they just held their nerve really well. I think they took their cue from the captain, who I thought captained them absolutely brilliantly. He never panicked. He never lost his cool. He handled his bowlers brilliantly, and I think they took their cue from him. So that when it came down to the wire, in both games, they delivered when they could so easily have panicked and gone to pieces. And I thought it was a really, really mature performance, particularly from the bowlers. And the fielding was just out of this world, epitomised by that final catch by Tom Kohler-Cadmore. But there were many other brilliant catches as well. I just thought it was a great all-round team performance, and it's been a team performance all the way through. the campaign, everyone has contributed in one way or another.
I think the important thing is somebody has contributed when somebody else has failed. We haven't had a collective brain fade. Whenever the top order has failed, the middle order have come in and taken it up. And I think that's actually a strength of this side, that you've got those three hitters at the top, Smead, Banton and TKC, and then coming in behind them, you've got almost sort of I don't want to say proper players, but do you know what I mean? Like Dixon. I mean, what price would you have given me in April if I'd have wanted to have a £5 on Sean Dixon to be top scorer in the final and semi-final on finals day? What? Just incredible. But it was that sort of pitch, that sort of day where, and that's kind of been our game plan, is if the top order fail, we've got plan B of the guys who can knock it around and also hit the boundaries. I mean, Abe's is just epitomises that. I know he played a couple of daft shots on Saturday, but he is his game is, if you can't hit a boundary, he will find that gap between long on and deep mid wicket, the very centre of that gap to the centimetre, and he'll pick up a 2 risk free. Just incredible. I mean, it was such an emotional day at the end there. Players, the fans, supporters, members, support staff all singing Blackbird together. A few people need to remember that there's a second verse to Blackbird, because it kind of stopped sort of after they did the first, all right, and then it's like, on me farm working for the sheep, and then it kind of picked up again. But just, at the end there for about an hour with the players milling around, all the fans, the squad members, I think it's James Rue, old Ned Leonard were in the stands, Alfie Ogborn was there as well, just that real, I'm getting goosebumps and welling up thinking about it now, just that real family feel, which I think it might not be unique to Somerset, but we have certainly got it much more than any other county, and it was there to experience that on Saturday night was experience that I'm sure you'll never forget, Dan, and I'll never forget as well. It was just absolutely unbelievable, and let's do it all again next year is all I can say. Steve, must have been a special.
I was watching remotely, I'm afraid, but it was horrible in one way, wasn't it? Because I don't think there was ever a time where I felt we were ahead of the game, and just at the point in both from games when we were batting and when we were bowling, it was that if these two can just stay together for 3 overs, and we lost a wicket, and then we'd get a wicket, immediately you'd be thinking we need one of these two out quickly now. Do you know what I mean? It always felt on the edge. I must admit I was pretty low after we batted in the semi-final. I really couldn't see Surrey failing to chase that down. But then, as you said in the intro, once you got into the power play, and we sort of sowed a lot of seeds of doubt in the Surrey batting's mind, they really weren't in it at all, were they? They always seemed behind the game. I mean, Jordan for a while threatened. But, I just find it amazing, and it was in the final, and it was a huge credit to Lewis's captaincy that Rossington had the long handle on Craig for that first over. And I don't think there was an iota of doubt in Lewis's mind. We will stick to the plan here. Craig is going to bowl through. When a lot of captains, I think, in the final would have gone, let's change it up here and do something different.
Yeah, well, I think they took their cue from the Surrey game, didn't they, Essex? They thought, right, Rossington is just going to go out and try and knock 40 out of this as quickly as he can, and then we'll make it a bit easier. But, like I said, what a catch by Casey Aldridge as well at point.
Yeah.
That was going like a tracer bullet.
Yeah, and he caught it almost behind him. It was, back twisting over his left shoulder almost to catch it. I think it was one of those where if he hadn't caught it cleanly, he would have been in Edgbaston or Birmingham General by 20 minutes later with bits of his hand being rearranged, because it was that sort of catch. But then I was saying to Debbie, who actually, one of the great miracles of the day was she was glued to it for most of the second half of the semi-final and the final. So that was nice to have her on board for once. But I was saying to her, and at times like that, my dad is always very close and I get quite emotional. And he used to do the thing, if Peter will remember, and Nancy, in the old days, you had the scorecards with the boxes at the bottom for runs at the end of the over. And he would keep that going, and he would be looking, so we need a good over here, either, 2 off the over, or we need to score 10 sort of thing. And it was just to that point where I was thinking, as Essex were chasing, we need to keep them under 5, and I could almost hear him saying it. And I think that was probably the collective mindset of most Somerset supporters who weren't at the ground. It was slightly away from the emotion of it.
Well, it's funny you say that. We were probably looking at the Duckworth-Lewis pass score just as much as we were looking at the pitch, weren't we? They were never really too far away. I think Essex got a little bit ahead, and then we pegged them back, and then they got about 10 behind, and they never recovered from that. But just utterly incredible. Pete, I didn't see you there, but you weren't dressed up as Stumpy, were you? And then you felt ashamed to come out and face the media.
He was dressed
afterwards.
as Lanky.
I resisted doing a John Terry and sort of coming onto the pitch and claiming credit for my presidency, this remarkable victory. But I was very much there, and like Dan, going through the ringer of year after year after year, pitching up and being disappointed and not quite imagining that we were going to pull it off. So they allocated Somerset and Surrey together, one of the hospitality rooms at the opposite end of the ground.
I bumped into the other two of the Holy Trinity as they were going in, Sir Michael Barber and let's call him Sir Gordon Hollins so he doesn't feel left out as well.
Gordon was white as a ghost through almost the entirety of the two games. I mean, if you think Dan was nervous, he was really living every ball. So that was quite something. At one point, I couldn't sit close to him because he just looked so sick. But the Surrey lot are, some listeners will be surprised by this, but they are a lovely group of people. Their president, Trish, is amazing, and their committee are a fantastic group of people. And so if we were going So if we were going to have a team to share with, it would be them. And they were completely... They had no confidence ahead of the game. They had plenty of confidence halfway through the semi-final, but they were very much with us. And there was no love for Hampshire or for Essex. So so all of that worked pretty well. Then above us was the other room, which had Hampshire and Essex people in it. And for most of the final, we had these, I assume they were sort of West Ham supporters who were singing Essex and Massive everywhere they go.
I was just going to bring that up, Pete, because they seemed to go quite quiet after about 45 minutes of their innings.
That was very satisfying.
Yeah. You weren't getting too sort of tribalistic and football-y. We're giving it all that. And
well, there were a few Somerset fans sort of straight in front of us who were... given as good as they got back to these Essex people, but no, it was an incredible day and evening. For me, it's been quite well publicised in the news, but that statistic about Somerset taking 151 possible wickets out of 170 in 70 games is
astonishing,
remarkable, and I never think Somerset are going to win until they do, but I always believed that we could take wickets, and so long as we kept taking wickets, we were okay. What I was less confident about was that we could contain the runs, especially if Craig and Matt Henry don't get off to a good start. And in that final match, both of them went for 14 in their first over. So, Matt Henry got a wicket with his last ball, but he'd been tonked all over the place, as well as Craig. So your point about sticking to the plan, that does take some nerve, but thankfully we got that wicket at the end of the second over, and it was just enough to keep going, and on we went. So, yeah, fantastic. Can't stop smiling about it, actually.
Yeah, it's just been like that. I dread to think how many times I've watched the replay of that catch. I have put it on repeat for 25 minutes on YouTube if anybody wants to just to sit there and watch that. I could probably put it on for 3 or 4 hours because somebody would sit and watch that. I knew I would. Just going back to that catch that TKC took to win the game. We made that rarest of beasts in that we left Shoaib Bashir out from the side that won the semi-final, where he I don't think did he bat? He certainly didn't bowl.
No.
And we brought in Casey Aldridge. Now, if we don't bring in Casey Aldridge, possibly somebody else is at point for that Rossington catch. And I think I'm right in saying, Dan, Shoaib had been at short third most of the time we saw. It was because that was kind of where we were, down at short third. So, no disrespect to Shoaib. May or may not have taken that catch to secure victory, but it just goes to show these little fine margins, finally they have gone in our favour. For example, that Critchley caught and bowled.
He took it. I said on commentary, he took it. I could see that he put his fingers underneath it.
We both thought it was out.
I couldn't understand the third umpire's decision.
We both thought it was out.
I saw the big screen and I immediately said he can't give that because just the way it looked. I just thought, because initially I agree. Initially my thing was out. But when we saw the big screen, I thought, no, third umpires do not give those. And that was a huge moment. Again, that one and the TKC catch and the Aldridge catch, they're moments that often would go against us on final stage.
But the soft signal was out. That's the thing.
It was,
the replay. The soft signal was out.
It was out.
I know, it's because it was out. But, I mean...
But why don't they give it on the field? You know, especially that type of decision.
I don't know. I mean,
you see it much more clearer on the field than you can on the replay.
Oh yeah, I mean, from where we sit, it looked like he caught it 2 or 3 inches, probably a couple of inches more off the ground, and then just slid along with his hands. I mean,
it was not out from where I was sitting.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, let's be fair. Essex have never claimed a catch that wasn't a catch before, exactly. So it cannot possibly be the cricketing gods exhibiting some karma. For example, I don't know, maybe a dodgy catch at short leg off Craigo in the championship game a couple of months ago or whenever that was.
It certainly was. Yeah, that wasn't a catch.
Never mind, eh? Do you know what else is funny? Have you seen Essex's second 11 game at Billericay Cricket Club has been abandoned because the pitch is unfit for play? Oh, to be an Essex fan. #Eagles. No, was it #fly like an eagle? Oh, never mind. Such good fun to finally have those lot on the losing side. Oh dear, yeah. I mean, just an incredible day. The loan system worked as well. Ben got TikTok Todd Linley back on loan from West Ham. He was wandering around doing a few bits and bobs with the fans. There was quite a few of the Somerset backroom staff who I won't name, but they were absolutely sloshed at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. It was great fun watching, seeing those guys. I'm amazed one of them, I shouldn't name names. Well, actually, no, it was Dan Cooper. They weren't that bad. He just coming up the stairs with a tray, and I thought, you're going to spill one of those, Dan. But to his credit, he didn't. And J Lo and a few of the others from the office having a great day as well. Dan did decide to turn up in a Max Waller shirt that was about 3 sizes too small for him, though. But he looked quite buff in it, so we'll let him off. Oh,
sorry, can you just clarify that you didn't say Dan Kingdom? You said Dan Cooper.
Dan Cooper, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just making that clear for the listeners that you said Dan Cooper, yeah, because it could have been misconstrued.
Well, you don't work at Somerset, Dad.
No, I know. I'm just making it 100% clear.
Oh dear. So, what do we make of the pitch there? Because obviously the preparation was slightly hampered with the weather on Friday and a little bit on Saturday as well. But, those 2 pitches did not half make for... Well, not say 2 pitches. That pitch did not half make for 2 cracking games of cricket. I mean, I would say as a neutral, think back probably to the Surrey-Middlesex game. The one where Middlesex chased, 240, 250, whatever it was at the Oval. And contrast that with watching that semi-final and the final. For my money, there's only one winner in, what would be a better game for the neutral. And I just sometimes wonder that is a flat pitch a bad pitch for T20 cricket? Is it better to have that little balance between bat and ball?
I think you want a variety. I think you want some flat pitches. You want some pitches for something for the bowlers. You want some pitches where, in the middle where 170, 180 is par. I think you need the low scorers to appreciate the high scorers and the high scorers to appreciate the low scorers. So, a lot of people were complaining about the Edgbaston pitch. But I think, as you said, the weather obviously affected preparation. But, it made for 3 amazing games of cricket, really. I think it'd be nice to have a few high-scoring finals days. They always seem to be sort of middling to low-scoring. But, I think it was fine. And I think I think you want variety in T20 cricket of conditions and pitches and stuff. So
it wasn't just the pitch, was it? The outfield was wet, so lots of the balls. If you hit it along the ground, it wasn't going to go very far. If you hit it in the air, it kind of plugged and stopped where it was. It was really windy, which I didn't appreciate, I must admit, in my protected location. But when I watched some of it back on the TV, it makes some of those catches all the more remarkable. In those conditions, I mean, it was very, very difficult and unpleasant to play in, wasn't it? In addition to the wicket holding up and being a bit sort of sticky.
All the catches we took even more remarkable. I think we were, apart from Ish Sodhi, had a bit of a ruck down at fine leg. I'm not sure whether he lost the ball in the lights.
He lost it.
Or he lost his footing or something. But apart from that, I think we were.
He lost it in the lights, and then when he tried to adjust, he lost his footing. But and he's not the greatest fielder in the world in the first place.
No. But apart from that, I think we were pretty faultless in the field, weren't we? I don't remember much going wrong, if anything. And it's been like that through the whole campaign.
And in the campaign as a whole, Craig Overton's taken more catches than anyone ever, including any wicketkeeper.
It's mental. Yeah. I mean, there's so many stats.
It was Joss Butler Joss Butler's joint with A.B. de Villiers, I think. The previous record in 2010 for us. So
what? I didn't realise A.B. de Villiers.
Don't get a fact get in the way of a good line.
Yeah, it was that. I mean, we could probably do another hour on all the stats. So what have you got? And in the records.
Well, Craig Overton and Tom Abel are just about level at the highest percentage of catches per match, at around about just 0.7 of a catch per innings throughout their T20 careers, and they are numbers 1 and 2 in the entire list of catches in T20 cricket in this country. And and that really puts, and Max Waller's not far down either. He's in about 6th or 7th. So the catching has been absolutely outstanding. And dear old Don Topley has been consistently saying that Somerset are far and away the best fielding side in this season's Blast, and that's right. So it's being acknowledged by other counties as well.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I can remember one off the top of my head. It might have been Tom Abel at deep mid wicket, and it would have been an absolute worldie if he took it, running in and diving almost full stretch.
He missed 2 actually. He missed 2, did Tom? Yeah.
2?
Yeah. Very unlikely. Very unlike him.
I must have scrubbed the other one from my memory.
Well, one was up in front of the Hildreth stand, and the other was in front of where my commentary cabin was.
So the one I'm thinking of is probably in front of the Hildreth stand.
Yeah. That's the one.
Well, you can't really say where your commentary cabin is, Gibbo, because it blows all over the ground. So it could be.
No, my old commentary.
Oh, the old one. No, not the bus stop.
But so they were both in Cow Corner, basically, with the bowling from different ends.
But that's, I suppose, is another testament.
That's the exception that proves the rule.
To Lewis's captain.
There were a couple of chances in the first game where Essex fielders didn't even go for the catch, that I feel Somerset fielders would have turned into catches, which was interesting. At least one of them was.
I can remember one of those. Yeah,
in front of us. Yeah, who suddenly became a revelation, didn't he? In the final, there's an Essex supporter I know who said, "We're never going to win anything while we've got Beard and Snater in our team." So I kept saying that to people, and then Snater starts bowling like an
absolute blind.
Yeah, but
world beater.
Technically, Pete, he was right.
I suppose he was in the end. Yeah.
Oh dear, it was just great to be there. Somerset comfortably again the most well represented county. I think we had probably a block and a half of that stand. There's quite a few Hampshire fans there, so a lot of yellow shirts. Didn't see many Surrey, didn't see many Essex. Put a few more Essex and Surrey. But again,
it's very weird. There didn't seem to be a clear block of Surrey or Essex fans. I don't know. It's odd. But maybe it's because they were too far away from us to notice, or maybe they just weren't as loud as us.
Or maybe because they just didn't turn up.
Yeah, well, maybe. Because, Surrey, the Surrey allocation went all the way to general sale, whereas our allocation sold out in the first hit. All the members snapped up all the tickets. So
I don't know would they take that into account? Would they give us more because we're generally a more well-supported club, and they would go on the marketing analytics of saying, well, Somerset want we only sold the X amount to Surrey, but Somerset will sell more. I don't know.
I doubt it. I think it'd be the same for every county. Remember, Surrey haven't been at finals day where fans have been allowed since, I think, 2014, which is another reason why I was surprised there were so few Surrey fans there. I thought it'd be a novelty for them. They've not been there for ages, so they'd come. But
yeah,
they were at Wimbledon.
Oh yeah, or Henley, or the Opera, or something like that. Who was I speaking to that said that even though Surrey sell their T20s out, it's not really to members, it's more of just a night out for your city types, and they all just go and get pissed and whatever. And
they've got a lot of members.
Yeah, but are they the going to T20 type members?
Yeah. I think the atmosphere.
Brilliant, aren't they?
It's a great atmosphere at the Oval. It really is.
Yeah. Maybe they just don't travel. They realised what I realised on my way back, that the M40 was closed and the M25 was closed. So it was a very, very long and difficult journey back. Maybe I should have stayed over, but there we are.
Yeah, well, I did stay over. We had fun on Saturday night. So I went out with Harry Everett, Sam Dalling, who you know from the live stream, and Lewis, whose name I've forgotten, who writes for the Somerset County Gazette, and I might even have got the name of the paper wrong. Sorry, Lewis, if you're listening. We got an Airbnb, so Sam had like all his laptop and stuff, so we were going to go back out probably to find Harry, who was had stayed at the ground, I think, drinking with the players, and but we need to get all the stuff back to the Airbnb, like all Sam's laptop and stuff, which understandably you didn't want to lose, obviously being a fine wordsmith that he is. So we got back to our Airbnb. I can't remember exactly what time it was, and the key in the door wouldn't work. And basically, the lock was knackered, so Sam had to ring up the host. We waited for half an hour for the guy to come out, fully expecting in these situations where people just wiggle the key in a special way and open the door. That didn't happen. It was an end of terrace place, but there was no kind of direct access to the back garden because it kind of dropped down, and then there was a lane along the side, so you couldn't quite get in there. But there was this kind of brick, about a brick's width worth of it was sort of a wall, kind of abutted onto the edge of the house. So this guy has shimmied about 20 metres along this wall to get to the back garden fence, jumped in, opened the back door and let us in. And obviously the lock was knackered, which was a pain in the arse. So we got a few quid off, but that kind of put paid to us trying to get back to the ground or anything for a few drinks. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning by the time that we got in. So we had a Macca's. Went through a big bag of kit that Don, of Reese's kit, that Don Topley very generously donated, and old Sam made the point to make sure that we say, although we slagged Don Topley off, he did do very well in getting some of Reese's kit to donate for the it's an auction for whatever charity Barnaby and Grace's family would like the money to go to. So there's a load of Reese Topley kit which is going to be going up in there. We resisted the temptation to try it on and have our own little game of corridor cricket, Topley versus Topley in the corridor. But that was an eventful Friday night. But thankfully, a safe and uneventful trip back on Sunday morning, and not slightly more or slightly less eventful than the trip that our trusty chairman had, judging by his tweets complaining about the rail network on his way back down to Plymouth. He should have offered me. He should have hit me up for a lift. He knew I was there, but anyway. Oh dear. Anything else? Anything else on finals day? It was just I feel like it was such an incredible day. We should be doing about 3.5 hours on this.
The mascot race was very disappointing. It was only half a mascot race, and Stumpy was disappointing.
The all new Stumpy. We saw the videos of him down the Nuffield gym getting himself in shape, and he's failed to deliver on the biggest stage. It's kind of put a downer on the day, really, isn't it? Nothing would as well. I did meet a listener. I got recognised in the stands. I spoke to a very nice chap. I forgot to properly introduce myself and get his name. So if you are listening, man, who was in about row N or whatever it is of the Raglan stand, and who bumped into me, do let me know, and I shall introduce myself properly on Twitter or whichever social media platform you do desire. There is a negative though. It's fantastic Somerset team Oh, I'm getting a call. This is definitely a scam call. Let's hang that up. This fantastic Somerset team, 1 to 11, absolutely glorious players. We are not going to see them again this summer. They are going to be kidnapped and dressed up as crisp packets when they should be playing in the Royal London One Day Cup. And as a Somerset member now, that just pisses me off that we only get to see these guys for one competition when they should be in 2, and we should be winning 2 because of it, because of the hard work that our pathway has put in, our development, our coaches, the shrewd recruitment of overseas players that has led to a Somerset trophy is now not going to lead to another trophy because, like I said, they got to go up and dress up as bloody crisp packets for a circus for 4 weeks or whatever it is. That just dawned on me today. That just doesn't sit right with me. I know it's the same point that we made week after week, year after year, but by God, that's pissed me off.
In a funny way, we're the holders of both white ball trophies at the moment. We're the holder of the most recent proper 50 over cup. Yeah. And yeah, as you said, I think we'd be with a very, very good chance of winning the One Day Cup if we had a full strength team. We possibly could have won it once or twice in the last couple of years as well. So yeah, it's a massive shame. I want to mention as well just how the team was basically at its best. Every player basically had just the tournament of their lives, really. Like sometimes in T20 cricket, you can win a tournament without being at your best, but the team as a whole was at its best. And if you go through every individual player, they all had a great tournament. With one exception, weirdly, Tom Abel had a relatively quiet tournament. He didn't do bad.
Possibly Lammers as well. You'd have inked Lammers in as a regular for that 5 slot, wouldn't you?
I think of the guys who played the final, the regulars throughout the tournament, generally they all just had, Banton, Smee, TKC. At the start of the season, I said those 3, it'd be great if Banton could return to form because we've lost Riley, so we need those 3 to fire, and they all did. Green and Gregory had the tournament of their lives. As we said, Craig and Henry in the power play were amazing. Literally, you could just look at every single player and they just played out of their skins. And it showed. We won 15 out of 17 games. So just it all came together, basically, didn't it?
And we could easily have won the other 2 as well. I mean, I was saying after 3 or 4 games, we mustn't lose our nerve. There'll be one game in this tournament where we'll be 24 for 5 and it'll just be one of those things. And it never happened.
Well, we sort of were in the quarter, weren't we? 60 odd for 5, and then we just seemed to pull we never had a collective failure as a team. Somebody always pulled it out the bag. I think the side was so well balanced as well. The earlier point, 3 hitters at the top, and then 2 or 3 quote unquote proper batters in the middle order, couple of all rounders. Generally we've had two spinners, 4 seamers, but always having 6 bowlers to give yourself that extra option. I think it's just such a brilliant, well-balanced side. And Jason Kerr and Andy Hurry have got a lot of stick over the years from certain quarters, but I think you have to tip your hat to them, the way that they've managed this campaign, the way they got that immediate signing of Ish Sodhi in, because he was probably as one of the main reasons why we won that tournament. The way he bowled in the final was absolutely incredible, and he didn't let us down. You think back to some of the other short-term signings we've had and what absolute disasters they've been, but this time absolutely spot on. I think the coaching staff never put a foot wrong. Paul Tweddle, the job he's done with the fielding, I mean, just utterly incredible standard, incredibly high standards in the field. I mean,
it must be amazing to field in a team like that, where you, as a bowler, the confidence to bowl, knowing that a batsman plays a really good shot and places it very well, there's a good chance the fielder's going to chase it down and save a run or 2 runs or something. That, we all know playing at the standard we've played at, you bowl a bad ball and it gets clipped through mid-wicket and mid-wicket doesn't move and it rolls to the boundary. It's very deflating. This must be the complete opposite. And I think you were going through the team, Shep, and I think the other thing that's the key is that pretty much everyone in that team is a gun fielder now.
Yeah.
You don't, okay, you can nitpick and you say, whatever, he's better, because you've got some outstanding gun fielders, but you've got, when you're big 6'4", 6'5" fast bowler takes a record number of catches and fields as well in the outfield as he does.
Well,
And
times two, Craig and Casey.
Yeah, okay, but that was the other wonderful moment for me. And much as I love both Overtons and I miss Jamie terribly, Craig catching Jamie was quite a nice moment for a Somerset supporter.
Well, Jamie caught him in the home game, didn't he? So that was nice to return the favour. Yeah. And that was, well, watching that back, one of the most moronic comments on commentaries. Alex Judy goes, "Oh, that'll be discussed over the Overton family dinner table." That's the laziest commentary trope there is. Stop it. But, it was nice for Sky to give the Surrey live stream commentators the full reign of the pod on finals day. Who do they have? Butcher, Tudor, Sangakkara. Anyone else? That's 3, Surrey. I mean, what's Trigo got to do to get a gig, for goodness sake?
I don't know. He was there last year.
Apparently, one of the Surrey commentators said that our bowling is a weakness or something. It's just like
we're not watching it. Somebody else said, "Oh, Craig's going to bowl his 3 in the power play here. That's unusual." I was like, no, it's not.
No. He's bowled 3 or 4 every game, isn't he? One fun fact as well, I was thinking. I think Craig had returned for a second spell. I think it's 3 times all season, which is pretty mad. Like, he's bowled 3 or 4 to start most of the time, and that's it. That's his job. It's great. He came back for a second spell in either the semi or the final, didn't he? I couldn't believe it, because he's only done about 3 times. So.
One of them said that Somerset don't travel well. That was another line.
I think Lydia Greenway said that, yeah. We've lost 1 away game all season out of 7 group games. If you count the semi, so that's I'll do some maths on the fly here. So we would have had 9 away games, and lost 1. Don't travel well.
I think the sad thing for me was that it wasn't even a case they hadn't done their research, because a lot of them had commentated on Somerset several times this season. And yet all the things we were doing seemed to come as a surprise for them. And the other thing was that they were on autopilot, as praising Lewis Gregory. And that was I got the feeling that was very much every time we can shoehorn reference to the Trent Rockets winning that other competition. But and that's not to take away from Lewis, who, as I said earlier, with that call to keep the bowlers on at the start of the final, etc., made so many good decisions. I think as well, do you know what? It helps, I think. He's slightly more laid back than Tom Abel. And in championship cricket, sometimes you need to up the intensity. And I feel that in T20 cricket, sometimes you need a captain who's Mr. Calm personified. And when you see Tom, we all love Tom Abel's desire and focus and everything. But when you saw him go out to field in the final, he was so pumped. And it was like, I'm actually quite glad Lewis is skippering here, because he's maybe a bit more laid back, and nothing seems to faze him really. But yeah, it's just a wonderful, wonderful tournament for us. Wonderful day. As I was with Dan, I mean, I was just, I don't think there was a single point until TKC took the catch that I thought the balance of probabilities was we were going to win it at any point. But hey, that's, wouldn't have missed the ball for the world. So. Yeah,
that could have. If that had gone for 4 off the edge of Sam's bat, that would have been then 11 off 9.
Yeah,
9 down. I would have still fancied us. I would have fancied us to create one more chance. Put it that way.
Well, yeah, possibly.
I think when we got them 9 down, I thought, that was when I thought, yes, we're going to win.
I agree.
I assumed that there would be another chance, as you said. I thought Sam surely will skew 1 at some point and hit it to a fielder.
Because Beard took the strike, didn't he? He took a single off the end of the what over was it? Well, 70 to 80, whatever over it was, it doesn't matter. But we were like, oh, cheers then, mate. We'll have that. Thank you.
Yeah. And then second ball of that over, Beard was bowled by Sodi. I think that's... Right,
that feels about right, yeah.
Yeah, 70.2.
I want to talk about it some more. I can't leave it.
So,
I got away talking about it.
So you say that we're never going to see this. We're not going to see this team again this season. So what do you reckon to my proposal, which is built on the excitement of us playing World T20 back in the day? That this team should now be admitted to next season's 100 competition, so that they can stay together and not be robbed by the other franchise teams and take on all comers. Or be entered for some other World T20 competition, but create some. I think it'd be particularly satisfying if they entered next year's 100 at the expense of one of the other franchises, so that there would be some jeopardy in that competition, which might even see the Welsh Fire drop out of the 100 and be replaced by Somerset. There we are. That's my controversial, provocative proposal for the evening.
So prior to finals day, then we took on Hampshire in the county championship. No, we'll talk about that. Oh, you just make a meal, because you're 100 contracted players that we've got. Oh, I don't know. 2-division blast is still my solution to all of this. I mean, you could. I mean, let's say we were doing it this year. You'd have all the guys under contract with existing 100 franchises that would then have to be seconded back to their counties, and then the teams have said, "Oh, well, we got three players now missing, and this, that, and the other."
It's not going to happen.
What would happen to us in the Monday Cup as well? Will there be two Somersets at once?
Yes, there are a few practical implications, but we've probably got good enough squad to have two teams, given the performance that we put in against Hampshire last week.
I mean, just expanding on your theory, Peter. I mean, you could take the side that finishes first, second, third, probably fourth, maybe fifth, probably all the way down to 18th, I'd say, and put them in a competition in the summer holidays. You know, some sort of competition that you really promote and make a big deal out of, and you could call it, I don't know, the Vitality Blast or something like that, and it could be. It could be on free-to-air TV, and you could get
your best 4 teams in a finals day. Yeah, that sounds really good.
My proposal could be a sort of bridgehead, or a kind of a bridgehead to something like that. You know, it's a step in the right direction.
You can tell you're a county president, Pete, with your diplomatic skills on view here, trying to create some synergy between these two warring factions.
No, it was a semi-joke. It was a semi-joke, really. But it was great fun, wasn't it? That year that we did get to play against some of the franchises from around the world. And it's really just your sort of thought about, this is a great team, and it would be lovely to see them up against anyone, really. And maybe this competition is too small for them. I
mean, the Champions League just died a death when about 80% of the players were playing in 80% of the leagues, and... You know, you would have Somerset versus Mumbai Indians versus the Hobart Hurricanes versus St. Lucia Zooks, and you got one player playing for all 4 teams.
Well, it has been mentioned about bringing it back. I remember there's a Mike Afton article a year or two ago saying about how the Champions League was effectively, it was ahead of its time, really. It was before a lot of those leagues had sprung up. So it's potentially ripe for reinvention at some point. I just hope that the Blast winners would get to it, not the 100 winners, because the 100 winners then be playing a different format as well. Although saying that, saying that there was also recently talk, literally like the other day, of a women's version of the Champions League, and that said about having the 100 winners do it. So I don't know, that I can't remember where I saw it, but it was just sort of some sort of tentative talks maybe between the England, Australia, and Indian boards. So it could come back one day, because the 2 times we were in the Champions League were amazing, and the second time particularly we got to the semi-finals. Could have won it if it wasn't for
the only way you could do it is if you had to field 11 homegrown players with no overseas. That's the only way you could do it. Else you'd.
I was going to say I reckon the rule should be you have to play
or maybe one overseas.
I think if your home team qualifies, you have to play for them. So say Matt Henry's IPL team got through. He's not in the IPL, but it's probably going to say his that wouldn't work. Say Banter was in the IPL, and his IPL team got through. Banter would have to play for us and not his IPL team. You know.
Yeah, that would work. But it's a good idea. I mean, that again is would be a competition with context, and you could develop
Yeah.
history from that. Not watching, what have we got now in the Major League Cricket with the Texas Chainsaws against the New York, whatever they're called. Oh no, they're Mumbai Indians, New York, aren't they?
New York. Yeah.
That is even worse. That is even worse. Or is it better? I don't know. But yeah, if it was like the New York.
Do you think we've got enough T20 competitions already?
No, we need more, Gibbo. There's no T20 cricket on right now. If I want to turn my television on and watch something going on in Bolivia with some absolutely third-rate South African overseas bowling, there's somebody who played for West Indies A 10 years ago.
You said you wanted to see this team some more, so I was trying to create a proposal to achieve that, not to promote Bolivia against Chile.
Well, let's see a few more of them in the County Championship side.
Oh,
Here.
But we've got that opportunity now if they're sober by Wednesday.
let's hope so. Yes. One thing about finals day, I really enjoy the instead of seeing replays of the game and the action, I want to see more videos of people on that bloody bungee fairground ride, because I just love that. Let's see more of those. Let's not worry about the cricket, because I think there were only about 782 videos of people on that bloody bungee ride. We need at least 5,000. Let's just have a constant live stream on the big screen of that stupid bloody bungee ride. Flintoff and Trez went on it once about 10 years ago, and now they seem to think that's what people want to see. It's not.
Yeah, as you said, they showed the replay of the wicket while we were celebrating the wicket, and then by the time we sort of paying attention again, the replay finished and they were showing the bungee. So
maybe the people on the bungee fairground ride need to have the Sky Go on their phone, so you can kind of watch the replay of the wicket on the Sky Go on their phone or iPad while they're on the bungee ride. And if they drop their iPad and smash it, so be it. That's the price for going on the silly fairground bungee ride. Anything more on finals day? We've only done 45 minutes on it. Go on, Dan.
One more thing. It's about the tournament generally. I just love how we've won in so many different ways. Like game one, we destroyed the opposition and chased it down. And then we've had a few, Sussex away, we chased down a big score. A couple of times away to Gloucestershire, home to Kent. We scored more than 200 and defended it. 4 times Kent away, Essex home, twice on finals day. We defended a below par score. We just find ways to win every time, and it's been great just ticking off all these different ways to win. We're just such a well-rounded team. I can't stop heaping praise on them. Just such a good T20 side, one of the best campaigns of all time by anybody.
It just stands you in such good stead going forward as well, because you can draw back to that game. That game that you won, I suppose, about an hour ago, defended a low score on the same pitch. But if you've done it all, you've done all these, you've done it all in the campaign. So you're not a side that relies on it being a flat deck and you scoring 220 and your bowlers not being much cop. You're not a side with weak batting that relies on your bowlers defending 160 every week. It's just every single base is covered in that team. And we just need to make sure we get Matt Henry back next year, because he is possibly going to be involved in the ICC World T20, which is...
Yeah.
But they won't play that... I suppose they won't play that the same time as the Blast, or will they?
They might. Thing is, they'll make sure the 100 will be in its usual slot. That's immovable, I'd have thought. And even so, the 100, they'll make sure the 100 just...
No. Let's give the 100 complete exclusivity and play it in November.
Well, yeah, fine by me. But they will make sure the 100 does not crash with the T20 World Cup. The Blast, they probably won't care so much about. So it might be a weird Blast next year with a lot of overseas talent missing and the England white ball players missing, sadly. But the England Test players will be available. So that'd be something. Joe Root will be playing the Blast, maybe.
You sure about that?
He played the Blast. Yeah, he loves playing.
No, I mean, there could be a celebrity golf tournament on somewhere that he'd rather go and play than play for Yorkshire.
He always likes to take the opportunity to play T20, doesn't he, when he can. He's played Blast. He played Blast in 2021, 2020 when he was available. So,
but that probably wasn't trying to save Yorkshire from relegation, was it? Was it, Joe?
No.
Your hollow words in Wisdom Cricket Monthly. Love Yorkshire, love the County Championship. I just don't love playing for Yorkshire when they're trying to stay in Division 1 of the County Championship. What's that, Piers? I'm on my way, mate. I've got my clubs in the boot. Anyway, speaking of County Championship cricket, the decision was made probably about this time last week to rest Craig Overton, Matt Henry, Lewis Gregory and Ben Greed, I suppose, players, and Tom Kohler-Cadmore as well. A decision which backfired spectacularly as Somerset lost incredibly to Hampshire. They were absolutely humiliated over the 4 days. Hampshire scored 700 and Somerset were bowled out for 50 and 65 to lose by an innings and 695 runs. At least I'm assuming that's what has happened after all the predictions on social media. Whereas, in fact, Tom Abel led a young side, 3 19-year-olds, Alfie Ogborn on debut, Shoaib Bashir, young James Rue, came within a whisker of pulling off one of the greatest upset wins in county championship history. They were absolutely bollocks by the end of that fourth day, having spent about 220 odd overs in the field, trying to search for those last few Hampshire wickets on what was a pretty flat pitch with that Kookaburra ball. But by God, finals day made you proud. That probably made you just as proud, I'd say. James Rue. What did you get in the end? 221. Shoaib Bashir bowled his absolute cobblers off. He must have been absolutely knackered come the end of it. I don't think that kid's ever bowled that much in his life. Casey Aldridge, 88. Young Alfie Ogborn bowled with good accuracy. Swung it a little bit. Picked up James Vince as his maiden first-class wicket. And to push that Hampshire team...
Right. That's not right. But Bashir already had first class. Alfie
Ogborn was first. Did I say Bashir? I meant Ogborn. Yeah, Alfie Ogborn was first. Sorry, maiden first-class wicket, James Vince.
I thought... Oh, sorry, second innings Bashir got him. Sorry, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was up there to watch James Rue get... Well, not only his 100, but his double 100 as well on Tuesday. I mean... Wow. I mean, whatever the result of the Hampshire match would have been, the decision to rest, Craig, Matt Henry, Lewis, and TKC would have been the right one because they would have been fresh for finals day anyway. But
I don't know about TKC. I thought TKC looked distinctly rusty on finals day.
Yes, but his left hand, was in tip-top condition, Gibbo, and that's what mattered.
Well, I dare say, but he could have taken that catch and he could have played in the game against Hampshire and he'd have been in better form for finals day, if you ask me. He looked very, very rusty. He was really struggling in both innings. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic performance and hats off to the 19-year-olds. I mean, James Rue is I don't want to get overboard on James Rue. It's still early days in his career, but he appears to have everything that it takes to make a really top-class batsman, whether he's a batsman, wicketkeeper, or just a batsman. I think sooner or later he needs to move up the order to show that he can bat, at 3 or 4. But his greatest asset is the 8 inches between his ears. He is just so cool, calm, and collected. I asked him after he got his 200 if he is actually as cool, calm, and collected as he appears to be from the sidelines, and he more or less said yes. He stays in the moment. He doesn't get ahead of himself. If he's had a narrow escape, if he's been dropped, that's all put behind him. He just gets on with the business and treats every ball on its merits. And he's got the perfect mindset for a proper red ball batsman. And the one thing I hope is that Somerset don't try and turn him into a white ball cricketer. There've been a lot of people saying, well, he should be playing in the blast side. He shouldn't be playing blast side. He needs to groove his technique in red ball cricket, and then he can graft on some white ball stuff as well, in the way that Tom Abel has done. Because 5-6 years ago, you wouldn't have regarded Tom Abel as a white ball.
No, how old was Abe's when he kind of cut his teeth in the T20s?
2018 was when he became a regular. So
exactly, yeah, and that was a year after he'd started captaining the side in red ball cricket.
And he brought out all these scoops and ramps and whatnot, but they were based on that sound red ball technique. Yeah, you can tell they call them coaching points when you're you're teaching kids how to play shots about where your feet should be and your shoulder and your head and this, that, and the other. But it's all there. It's all that really crisp, precise technique that Abe's has in red ball cricket. I totally agree. I think Rui could be absolutely the same.
I thought Shoaib Bashir out-bowled Don Bess. He looked much more likely to take a wicket.
That was the most massive story in Somerset cricket last week, and I'd completely forgotten about it.
and Alfie Ogborn, he's still very young, but he bowled with good control, and he didn't seem fazed by the occasion at all. And the left arm over, does provide an important change of angle of attack. And I hope he gets some more chances. And it'll be interesting to see what he does in the One Day Cup.
Yeah, because that's starting in a few weeks. We do have the slightly inconvenience of interrupting the week-long celebration, the Go Player Championship game up at Northants, which starts on Wednesday. I mean, it was a funny sort of selection because Umeed came in at what was that? What did he about 5 ahead of Lewis Goldsworthy?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
Les Goldsworthy isn't fully fit.
Well, I did a few tweets sort of saying, basically complaining about the decision to leave out Lewis Goldsworthy, and Lewis's brother Jamie liked the tweet or one of the tweets, so that implies that there was no injury involved. But I don't know. He was named.
Yeah, but then Tom Banton's mum liked the tweet saying he was going to Warwickshire, so
Yes, you did. You're quite right.
Who knows?
But I just don't know what's going on with Lewis Goldsworthy. He's palpably a much better player than Andy Umeed, and yet Umeed gets selected in the middle order ahead of him, and can bowl a bit of left arm spin as well.
Which would have been useful on the 4th day.
He would. Yeah.
Was he in the squad for finals day?
He was. Yeah,
so
there were a couple of shots in the
dressing
room, and he looked pretty glum, I've got to say. He didn't look a happy soldier.
I mean, he's obviously
he wouldn't be. I mean, he had his breakthrough season last year, and he hasn't played at all this season. He hasn't played the county championship, and he didn't play in the Blast. He's yet to play for the Somerset first team. I mean, that must be really, really disheartening for the lad. And he did so well last season, and he too has got a very good head on his shoulders. I just don't know what's going on with him. It just seems to be really, on the face of it, it's very poor man management or player management, whatever you want to call it. There may be more to it than meets the eye, but on the face of it, it's not good.
Thing is, this was inevitable, wasn't it? When we signed Dixon and Cola Cadmore, and also Bancroft for a bit, this was inevitable. Someone, players were going to get left out. There's basically
you don't get left out for Andy Umeed.
Yeah, I know. I mean, earlier in the season, basically it was a choice between Goldsworthy and Bartlett, wasn't it, in the Championship? And Bartlett took that spot and done well. I mean, it's a difficult one.
Yeah, I mean, we've not been much on the conspiracy theories this year, but you do wonder if something's going on. I don't know. I mean, I jokingly tweeted that maybe Lewis Goldsworthy has done a poo in Mrs. Kerr's handbag, and I don't know, but
very, very good taste. That is, Chips.
Well,
very good taste.
I don't know. It's my childish sense of humour coming to the fore. But because previous times we said, why isn't Goldsworthy playing in this game? And it's turned out that he has had, he had that rib injury. But in this game, you'd think he would be playing as a straight as a batter at number 5, 5. And that would have been ideal for him. And I don't know whether they thought that, Andy Umeed did score these twin hundreds in that second 11 game a while back. So we are maybe looking for an opener because Lammers and Dicko haven't been setting the world alight, opening the batting in the Champo.
He can't play the short ball. He can't play the short ball. As soon as he came in, the Hampshire bowlers dropped back their length and he was all over the shop. He's too much of a front foot player. There's no way he's going to open the innings successfully against a quality bowling attack. I just don't, I've no doubt he's an absolutely lovely bloke, and I don't. Nobody likes to criticise players, but he just hasn't got what it takes to succeed in First Division County Championship cricket.
I mean, he's in the last year of his contract. Somebody else who's in the last year of their contract, going back to finals day, is, of course, Lewis Gregory.
Well,
yeah, we had better sign him up.
Another big drama.
Well, I would have thought if it had been done and dusted by now, it would have been an ideal time to announce it. I hope we are going down the Tom Banton route of worrying where there is nothing to worry about. But until it's... I mean, pen may have already been put to paper, we don't know. But until it is announced, as a fan, I'm thinking, oh God, not just a player, but as we talked about at length, what a fantastic captain he is at that side as well. And
I reckon if it was happening, we'd have heard a rumour. Cricket Info are on top of these things. They've put out. They've talked about the Worcestershire players leaving, the Derbyshire players leaving.
Which way rumour are you going? A rumour that he's leaving?
I think if we'd heard Gregory was leaving, I think we'd have maybe heard a rumour by now. It would be quite a big story.
But there were rumours about Manson as well, and he stayed in the end. So I don't know whether you get the false positives out of these things.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. I mean, it could be either way, but
there is a school of thought that says they waited until after finals day, and this little window before that other competition starts is the time to have the negotiations. Because certainly, if you'd in the last 10 days, if you'd have gone to Lewis Gregory and said, "Oh, by the way, can we talk about your new contract?" I think if I'd have been him, I said, "Do you know what? Can we just wait till after Saturday, please?" So. I'll worry about it if I need to worry about it. At the moment, I don't think I need to worry about it.
Well, plenty are, Steve. I'm one of them. I'm not quite.
No.
I'm not quite at the level of. I'm not quite fully maxed out on the worry yet, but I'm just simmering.
It's a very busy time for the club at the moment. We've had to get through finals day. We've got the women's.
Pete? Come on.
We've got the women's game tomorrow, which is all consuming for everyone in and around the club, and then we've got an away fixture at Northants. So I think there's a lot to process, and it doesn't seem to me like a particularly obvious time to make the announcement. So I'm not. I would like him to have confirmed that he's playing for us next season, but I'm not. Overly concerned at the moment, but I know nothing whatsoever about contract negotiations and have no locus on them whatsoever either. So you can't read anything into
I'm not
any
sure
of that.
Whether to be reassured or concerned after hearing that.
Just a personal opinion.
I would think it would take a hell of a lot to get Lewis away from Taunton. Now, whether that hell of a lot has been placed in front of him by a certain county who is known for signing quality players from other counties who also happen to be the base of operations for his Chris Packett team. Who knows?
And Stephen Mullaney's not great these days.
Yeah, I mean, he is such a good captain that is bound to add to his attractiveness in the market.
Oh, we know they love him.
Yeah,
they can't love him as much as we love him.
No, exactly.
No. But they've got more money. That's the trouble.
If you look at how happy Lewis was of winning the trophy and stuff with us, achieving that goal that's been there for so long, I just can't see why he would leave now.
Just remember how happy Pete Trigo was winning it for Nottinghamshire.
Well, that was a little bit different, wasn't it? I don't know. Did we offer Triggs a contract at the end of what would have been 2019?
No.
Yeah.
No, he was out unceremoniously, which is the Somerset way of doing things.
Well, we live in hope. I remain in hope. I'm at a simmering level of worrying. Steve, what level are you at if we're using cooking metaphors?
No, I'm fine about it. I'm actually fine about it. I haven't, to use your metaphor, I haven't even turned the ring on the gas yet.
Fair enough. Anything else to talk about on the Hampshire game?
George, go in a minute. Do you want to talk briefly about the game against Northants?
Well, we can do. I mean, we're off to Northants.
Well, I'm going to go in about 5 minutes. So,
So
it's
that
a game we really ought to win.
Yes, we are. We are kind of at the stage now where we're looking up rather than down in that Division 1 Championship table.
Do you think that we'll field a full side, or do you think we'll still be resting players in the aftermath?
Well, unless they've got hangovers, I'd expect everybody to be out in the park.
And who do you think the opening partnership ought to be? The two opening batters.
Well, I think it ought to be James Rue. But whether that's something to do right now, I think
that's asking too much for him to keep wicket. I'd
have Banton keeping wicket.
All right, you can do that.
How are you getting goals at the end?
I don't know. I mean, what is Best still with us?
It says short term.
What's said it's a one.
Honestly, make much of a case for being picked. If you're going to bowl, there's no real case for bowling two spinners at Wantage Road.
I thought it turned at Wantage Road, home of Swan and Padisard, or has that changed over the last few years?
It's changed. It's quite a bouncy pitch there now. Craig Overton will bowl
I was going to say, we had that game a couple of years ago. It was over in about 2 days.
Was that the first week of the COVID, where it was about 66? We went up about 60 twice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd like to see Tom Banton in the side. I think Sean Dixon has made the he's done enough on finals day, oddly enough, to show that he can do it. TKC come back in. I think George Bartlett deserves another go. I think I'd stick with Rue at number 6 for the time being. I'd like to see Gregory back, but I suspect they might rest him because of his ongoing back issues. And then Aldridge, Overton, Matt Henry, Bashir, and if Gregory isn't fit, I don't know.
Aldridge.
Yeah, I've got Aldridge.
I'm thinking that will round a slot at 7.
Josh Davey, I don't think is fit. He wasn't fit for finals anyway.
It's Brooks or Osborne, then I guess.
Or Osborne.
What bowlers we got? Davey. I tell you what, I would like to. I would if you're playing Overton and Henry, I would go Aldridge and Ogbourne and Bashir as your 5 bowlers.
I think I would too. Yeah.
That would be great reward for the performance, wouldn't it? To have the 3
and I think it's good to show him as well that we didn't just bring you in because nobody else was fit. We brought you in because we rate you. We think you're a good bowler. What were his figures? You bowled your tits off on what was a pretty flat pitch. 2 for 56 off 19 in the first innings and 1 for 33 off 9. So, I mean, if any of the Somerset bowlers had returned those figures, you wouldn't bat an eyelid and say they'd kind of bowled really well or really poorly. Those are just really sort of decent county championship figures. It's not like he went for 70
and he would
or
benefit
5.
being part of that bowling attack. With you've got to benefit having Overton, Henry, and Casey Aldridge or whoever else in the side with you. That's got to help.
Yeah, and it was his 20th birthday on finals day. So what a birthday party for Alfie Ogbourne in that whatever that suite was at Edgbaston. So what are we going then? I'll put LB. Lammonby. Jake Libby, a.k.a. Tom Lammonby. Sean Dixon, Tom Abel, George Bartlett, TKC.
I'd have Banton instead of Lammonby.
Banton instead of Lammonby. Okay. Rue at
Lammonby's
6.
Not in form at the moment. I don't know what the matter with him is, but he hasn't been getting runs. He doesn't look like getting runs in the county championship, and he hasn't got runs in the Blast either. So I think he needs a rest.
Okay. So you possibly think with the technical tweaks that Bance has made over the winter that he's going to be better equipped this time round to open the batting in red ball cricket?
Well, I think he deserves a chance. He's worked so hard at it. And again, if we don't use him, we'll lose him.
Fair dues. Where are we up to then? So Rue at 6, Gregory / Aldridge at 7, Aldridge / Ogbourne at 8, and then Henry Over and Bashir.
Yeah. Which is a good side, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a game that I think if we win this, so we totally not worried about relegation.
Yeah, well, we're 37 points clear of relegation at the moment, and 39 points off the top. So
happy days.
Right. I'm going to love you and leave you if that's all right.
Oh, what's for supper tonight, Gibbo?
I don't know, but we got a guest, so I mustn't.
You've got a guest. It's not Don, is it?
No. It's one of Claire's friends.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll let you get off then to perform your husbandly duties. Cheers, Gibbo. Have a safe trip up to Northants. Right. What else have we got then? We haven't done listeners' questions yet. We're not going to do those this week. I'm just going to see if I can pick out any juicy tidbits from Twitter. I did ask the Twitterverse for their 2 favourite moments, one from the group stage and one from the quarterfinals/finals day, excluding obviously TKC's catch. So if you have put yours on Twitter, thank you very much, guys. What were yours?
Oh goodness, I think the run chase at Essex as a whole was my favourite thing in the group stage, and I think Craig Overton getting Will Jacks, was it? Just so many wickets fell. That first wicket in the semi-final,
bowling through the gate. Yeah,
when I was, as I said earlier, didn't have a lot of belief, and that was suddenly that. Oh, hello, there might be something on here. Those were probably my 2.
Oh, you've just reminded me of something, Steve. I was queuing for a pint when that Will Jacks wicket went down, and we all know Gibbo's least favourite cider is Stowford Press, which is what was on draft at Edgbaston. So I forgot to mention that to him. I should have written it down. Look what the notes I've written for tonight. I never normally write that many notes.
Wasn't it, by the way, just to clear up, it was...
No, it definitely was Stowford Press, Dan, believe me.
I was at the bar. I couldn't remember who we got.
Yes, sir.
Laurie Evans, it was.
Yeah, that was
rather than Will Jacks, yeah. Oh, shit. Hold on a sec. Oh, no, that's all right. My recording laptop just said that did I want to allow HB Smart to make any changes to my device? But I think we're still recording. Dan, your 2 favourite moments on the group stage and the final/quarterfinal.
Finals day, as I mentioned earlier, I think finals day.
Was it me elbowing you in the arm every 5 minutes, going stop fidgeting around?
No, that was fine. Don't worry, don't worry about it. Not my favourite moment, but it was.
Oh shit! I still owe Matt a Kit Kat. I forgot. I forgot my sun cream on finals day, and Dan's brother Matt lent. I say lent me. He's not getting it back. Gave me a bit of his sun cream, and I did promise him a Kit Kat chunky in return for that, and I forgot to give it to him. So
right. He won't mind.
I'll pass it on. Are you at the women's ODI tomorrow?
I'm not. No, but he is. So
okay. Well, I'll have to find him and give him an extra Kit Kat chunky in lieu of my debt being a bit less. But I did get a bit of sun cream in my eye. So about the first 3 hours of finals day, I was kind of like that, and I was going to the toilet every 5 minutes trying to wash it out. And then when I got home yesterday, my wife goes, "Is your eye all right? It looks a bit swollen." It's like, "Yeah, I got bloody sun cream in it yesterday." Believe it or not, you did need it, even with the weather being what it was. Sorry, Dan. I'm sure that wasn't your favourite moment of finals day, me barging past you every 5 minutes to go and try and wash sun cream out of my eye, but go on.
It wasn't that often. Yeah, my favourite moment, I don't know. I think the moment, I think I mentioned it earlier, the 9th wicket in the final was the moment where I believe, yes, we are going to win this. I think that was my favourite moment, I think. And just, Sony had 3 wickets, didn't he? All of them were bowled, weren't they? I think
in the final.
They were all bowled.
Yeah, Walter bowled Sodhi, Snater and Beard both bowled Sodhi. Yeah.
And I think it's the nature of a dismissal bowled, and the fact that the stumps lit up as well just somehow makes it even more special, I guess. I don't know, there's just something about those wickets which really get you going. Any bowled wicket is exciting, isn't it? You know, it's just like that. It happens in a second. But yeah, I think those were the 9th wicket was my favourite wicket, my favourite moment of the day, I think. Because that was the moment when I believed that we were going to win. The group stage as a whole, I mean, home to Essex, the one where we defended 150 odd, that was probably the winning moment of that was probably my favourite. Just seeing Sam Cook or whoever it was running and them being a mix-up and just screaming, run out, you know, because that was to make it 6 wins from 6. We looked dead and buried, and I was starting to think, doomsday scenario, because we had we had Hampshire coming up at the Rose Bowl, we had Gloucestershire away coming up, we had Surrey coming up. I thought, oh God, if we lose this, then we might lose our next
run of 4 defeats or something.
Yeah, exactly. I was just the scenarios are going through my head. It's all could come apart, but yeah, we got over the line, and that was the start, because that was, you know, what we were talking about earlier. You know, just we keep finding ways to win, and that was just an elite performance from the bowlers, wasn't it?
Mr. President.
Well, there's so many.
Was your final day when those Cockney wankers shut up on 2 boxes down from you?
Well, that was excellent. That was very enjoyable. There was an interesting moment. No, that's too indiscreet. I can't say that. There was a.
Oh right, you can't say that and then say no. Was it when Lewis Gregory came into the box to sign his new contract? Was that your favourite moment of finals day?
No, I was going to say something disparaging about Essex, but instead I'll say something nice about Essex.
Have you been listening to the last hour of this podcast? It's all we've been doing is saying disparaging things about Essex.
I think I've done enough of it though. So one highlight was obviously having a piece of Toppers' lemon drizzle cake at Chelmsford shortly before we smashed all the runs we needed in about 14 overs. So that was satisfying. Another memorable moment, it's not a particularly sort of pleasant one, was in the game at Hove where the 2 Sussex overseas players ran into one another and right down in front of us, and it was really nasty. And that was a bit of a turning point in that game where they both had to go off and they lost.
Didn't one come back on? Who was it again?
Yeah, McAndrew returned and did bowl again, didn't he, I think? But Shadab didn't return.
Yeah, he didn't, and he was out for a couple of games, wasn't he? But that was, and then at Bristol, the same thing happened when 2 of their players ran into one another and collided. So I don't know how many moments
the Somerset president wants more dodgeball in T20.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just strange sort of memorable moments. I think I personally really enjoyed going back to Bristol. So when I was a kid, growing up in Chippenham, and my mum and dad were both Somerset supporters, so we were very much as kind of Somerset family. But when Somerset were playing a long way away, and Gloucester were at Bristol, we would go to Bristol quite a bit just to watch the cricket. And I hadn't been back to Bristol for years and years. I mean, why would you?
Wow.
Because it's a bit of a trek for me, but probably 30 years. So to go back to that ground and all sorts of memories, some things exactly the same as 30 years ago, and some things completely transformed. But to see such a commanding performance, and if only Will Smead had got 100, that would have topped it all.
So I think another. He's got to score loads of 90s. I mean, you know, he's never scored a T20 100. He probably won't ever score a T20 100
because he always goes for it. So, but again, Dan, that's a memorable moment. Dan,
I'm feeding you for a bite on this statistical incongruity, and you're not biting. Come on.
I'll let you off. We talked about our finals there, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm letting you off. Don't worry. You are technically in a way correct. T20, 20 overs.
I suppose it's like the way that they group in list A, which is everything from 40 up to 65 over cricket.
Yeah.
But anyway. And your favourite moment on finals day, Mr. President?
Favourite moment on finals day? Well, the Kohler Cadmore catch.
I specifically said about 5 minutes ago, apart from the Kohler Cadmore catch.
Oh,
so just have all 5 of us going, obviously the Kohler Cadmore catch.
I don't. In that case, it has to be that Casey Aldridge catch, because if he hadn't have stopped that ball, that was heading for the Raglan stand, and either you or Dan might have been hit by the ball, and we wouldn't have been able to do the podcast. So
and Ian wouldn't have seen it because he still had sun cream in his eye at the time.
So it could have been very dangerous. So there needs to be a special cider apple award for Casey Aldridge. Or you need to create a category for life-saving catch of the season or something.
We're going to have to create about 5 different awards, because normally Vitality Blast Player of the Year is a pretty open and shut case, but now, 1 to 11, you can make a case for. Oh, this has got to be difficult. Best number 5 batsman who is currently doing a master's degree part-time. Well done, Sean Dixon. Best captain, Lewis Gregory. Best member of the well, I digress slightly, but it's great that category is going to be so difficult to decide this year. And, well, I don't want to decide. How do we do it? I've forgotten now. We each choose our top 3s and then we do the most votes, don't we? God, that's got to be difficult. I might not even be able to get Roller in as number 1 this year. It's going to take some doing for me to make a case for Roller this year, but
that would be a highlight for me. That moment on the
finger
pitch at Chelmsford,
the
when they
finger. Oh yeah,
pulled his finger back. Yeah.
I mean, credit to Roller. I bumped into Tom Abel during one of the rain breaks because the back of the Raglan stand that gate is right near the indoor school, so we kind of saw them all coming and going. And I bumped into Abe's. I just said, "Oh, all fit well about Roller," and he said, "Oh, late fitness test," which I assumed was Roller taking some high catches and seeing whether he winced in pain or not. But if anybody, he must have been literally medically unable to play to not take the field on finals day. So
he had his fingers taped up at the presentation, so that sort of indicates to me if you're strapping your fingers up to hold the trophy, you probably aren't going to be wanting to take. Thank goodness he wasn't on the end of that Casey Aldridge catch. That might not have been good.
No, Roller. He still would have caught it in his mouth.
He would have held on to it.
Yeah. Some way he would have caught it. The Bulldog. Yeah, he got a standing ovation as he walked past us because obviously the Somerset, because there's 4 teams and only kind of 2 main dressing rooms at Edgbaston. The Somerset and Surrey, was it Surrey? Changing at the Birmingham end, and Hampshire and Essex in the pavilion. So to make your way to the dugout, all the Somerset and Surrey players had to walk past our stand, and it's fair to say all the Somerset players got standing ovations, and some of the Surrey players didn't. Jamie Oban got a bit of stick, which I thought was unfair because he left in all the right ways, and we'd still have him back. We love you, Jamie. Jamie, come back. We do for mine. My group stage was the same as yours, Dan. Beating Essex at home, defending that 150, because before that there was still that little bit of doubt: is this maybe a little bit of a flash in the pan? Are we overperforming? Have things gone our way? But yeah, to defend that 150 against a pretty decent side was, and get that W for that game was a real marker for me. And I don't know why I kind of just asked myself the question and just decided that whatever popped out first was going to be my moment of finals day. And it was when Ben Green had Sam Curran caught with his first ball, because it kind of summed up Ben Green's campaign of people not learning that if Green has bowled you this ball, which you think is an absolute, floaty long half volley that you are well within your ability to smack over long off for 6 and then go, haha, aren't I good? You have not been watching Ben Green throughout this Vitality Blast campaign. So I forget who was it took the catch. Was it Craig or was it Matt Henry? It was Matt Henry. Matt Henry, just on the edge of the ring. First ball that Ben Green bowled. Having Sam Curran caught was my champagne moment there, because it was also quite a big turning point in that game as well. Getting them 38 for 4 fairly early on. What a week it's been, chaps.
I'm exhausted just thinking about it.
I know, it's just such... I mean, finals day is a long day to begin with. I mean, it was up at 6:30 to drive up, and then obviously in the ground from, 9:30 to about 11 o'clock. It's a long old day. Can I give a shout out to Ben Warren as well? Because obviously Ben is, you got guys like Ben, like Spencer, who are working during the day, but they're also Somerset fans. I mean, the ringer that we were put through during that, the emotions going through in that semi-final and final, and I can't imagine having to sit through that whilst having to try and do a day's work as well. So great work, Ben. Great work, Spencer. Spencer had quite a fun night because he was in charge of getting everybody back on the coaches to Taunton at the end of play. It's not like a cruise ship, whereas if it's docked and you're not back on the ship at a certain time, they just drive off. They were waiting for people, and Spencer was trying to corral everyone. So well done, Spencer. Well done, man. Well done to all the backroom staff as well. And, of course, well done to the players. Well done to the coaches and everyone at Somerset CCC. What a week it's been. I feel like this time next week when we hopefully talking about a championship victory against Northampton, it's going to be a bit of a downer. Right, here's a question for you. How can the Northamptonshire game top finals day? What needs to happen?
James Rue gets a 100.
No, that wouldn't surprise me.
And Alfie Ogborn takes a hat-trick. Both.
I think James Rue needs to go past Brian Lara's 501. For this upward, in business or whatever, you talk about, right, we're on an upward curve, let's keep it going. What can we do? Let's keep the momentum going. James Rue is going to break Brian Lara's world record. Somerset are going to be 40 for 4 again, like they inevitably always are, on what day are we talking? Wednesday morning. James Rue is going to strike to the crease at about 12 o'clock. On Wednesday, he's going to leave the crease at probably 5 o'clock on Friday, 503 not out. Because he can't just break it by 1.
Okay.
That's going to be my prediction for the Northants game to surpass finals day.
Casey Aldridge is going to get a double 100 at the other
end. Oh, yeah,
it?
Someone's got to be with him, yeah. No. And then Casey Aldridge is going to break James Rue's 503 not out a couple of balls later by going on to 504 not out.
Oh, my goodness.
How about that? If you feel I'm talking phenomenal about a rubbish list, I've had 2 bottles of Katie for this podcast, which, as you all know, is loopy juice once you get into a couple of bottles of it. So, Dan, what does the Northants game need to do to surpass finals day?
Yeah, I think you've already said it. Maybe Craig to take all 20 wickets as well.
Oh, that'd be good. Oh, yeah, both of those can happen.
Yeah.
Are you suggesting that Matt Henry might go wicketless?
Well, yeah, it feels unlikely, doesn't it? Maybe Henry will take all 20.
Maybe James Rue is so tired after his 503 not out that Matt Henry keeps wicket and takes all 20 catches off Craig.
There we go. Yeah, that'd be quite something. And maybe they're like all in a row. We just get them all out in 10 balls in each innings.
Yes.
Was it Captain Mannering used to say, I think we're getting into the realms of fantasy there, James?
Well, I'm going to have
much more likely is that we find ourselves needing 4 off the last ball of the game and manage to do it, edge through the slips.
Shoaib Bashir creams a cover drive for 4 to win the game.
No, Shoaib Bashir breaks Casey Aldridge's record for the highest first-class score.
God.
Somerset amass 2,781 for 9 declared. Matt Henry keeps wicket. Craig Overton takes all 20 wickets in 20 balls, because obviously we make them follow on.
Yes, I'm going to have my dinner.
We haven't even discussed the possibility of Tractor being a concussion sub. Oh, gents, it's been a pleasure. I'm sure there are going to be much more depressing and miserable podcasts to come, but by God, let's enjoy it while we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Blackbird, I will have you. Till next week, guys. Thanks for listening. It's been an hour and a half.
Take care, everyone.
But I hope it's been enjoyable, because these days don't come along too often. Steve, Pete, Dan, and Gibbo, who's entertaining. Catch you all next week.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Ta-ra.
See ya.
Bye.
walking down.